music sounds like a cheesy open for Mac football on a cable access channel. Tonight, Central Michigan and Akron square off in a meaningless Tuesday game in front of 9 fans. Out of the stadium. Happy Thursday, buddy. Welcome to the Beat of Sports. I'm Marc Daniels. That's Chris Vasquez over there.
Apparently need to do a better job with intro music.
No. I'm not complaining.
Like little.
You see the ray of lights on the stream? Right here?
That's the light of God shining down on you, Mark.
What is that?
You're
I
the
moved
chosen.
something, though. I feel like I'll darken the shot.
You're the chosen one.
See it?
Yeah.
Right there?
Don't hold up the devil horns.
Oh, sorry.
You're canceling out the God light.
Welcome to the Thursday edition of our program. I'm Marc Daniels. Chris Vasquez is over there. Family get back okay? Wife and daughter were in Columbia?
They are back. My wife had a little bit of a tough time with my daughter, but she made it. Everyone's good. Everyone's safe. Daughter's happy to be home. I'm happy to have her home. All is well.
I'm laughing, not because to hear the good news of your family back, and this is really dumb on my part because we're encouraging you to watch and listen to this show, but over my shoulder, among the many screens we have, they just went from the breaking NBA news of LaMelo Ball being traded to Minnesota for Naz Reid and some other pieces and parts. And it's a big deal, and Minnesota's now, luxury tax and aprons. They're going all in, okay? And a LaMelo Ball, Anthony Edwards backcourt, and then Greeny goes to the Seth Rollins interview for the WWE card coming up on Saturday. I'm sorry, that's funny. It's just funny. It is, How will you take down your opponent for this coming Saturday? Wow. Constant promotion.
Yeah.
Part of our lives. All right. Well, glad family's back.
Yes, me too.
Do you ever have to restart your computer for updates?
Mm-hmm.
And it says, shut down and restart 4 minutes?
Yep.
But it takes like 30?
Yep.
And then you think, should I? And it says, don't turn computer off. And you're thinking, should I turn it off? And it's just that circle, and it's stuck on 30%. You think, well, something's got to be wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then it goes from 30 to like that big jump at like 70-something%.
No, I got stuck on 98 for like 10 minutes.
Oh.
I'm like, come on.
So I recently updated my Mac, but it took me like this update's like probably 2 weeks old. I forgot the password to my laptop. I couldn't figure it, and I couldn't reset it. So I was stuck on an old version for like 2 weeks, and I finally figured it out.
All right.
It's always scary.
Just that little circle. Moving around. Your life is on hold for a brief moment. Yeah. Anyway, all is good. Gonna get into who the Magic draft the last time. Isaiah Nelson from South Florida is the latest draft pick for the Magic. If you're ecstatic today, good for you. If you think it's a bad pick,
good for you as well.
I guess good for you as well. It was the 51st pick of the draft. Okay? Ever been to a garage sale?
Yes.
It's really more of a yard sale. Like in Florida, it's hard to hold the sale in the garage because it's hot. It's usually a yard sale, right? If you're doing a yard sale and you say, hey, beginning at 8 a.m., you get what they call the early bird, showing up like 6:50.
Yeah.
Okay? By the time the Magic picked, it was 2 in the afternoon. Okay? You do get the lamp that doesn't have the lampshade that they're like, take it as is, right?
Then you negotiate the price.
Right. You get the couch that God knows what that stain is.
Oh, stop.
Do you want it for $12 or not? Like, you're not going in getting the brand new grill because they already had one that Uncle Ed bought and sent down. It's $2.30. You're looking around. Are those a set of Hardy Boy books for 12 cents? Yeah. That's what so just relax.
I'll give you 10.
Our neighbor had a yard sale this past weekend. She's a wonderful woman, beautiful, dear of a lady, and so forth. And, the parking was hardcore. So I saw the end of the weekend. I go, how'd you do? She cleaned up.
Nice. Good for her.
Cleaned up. Like, good, because we're not doing this again for a couple more years, right? Not running traffic here unless I can do valet. Anyway, We'll talk about last night's pick by the Magic. Um, get some football in today. Cam Miller will be by for his weekly visit. The U.S. men's soccer team plays tonight, late 10 o'clock match against Turkey. The U.S. has already advanced. They know where they're playing. They don't know who they're playing. They'll be not San Francisco, outside of San Francisco for their next match. In the round of 32, we'll get to that. Got a history lesson coming up a little bit later on today as well. So glad you're here. You can always listen at FM 96.9, AM 740 on the iHeart app anywhere in the world. Download that app. It's free. Make us a preset button. And you can also watch the stream and see the rays of light that are shining down on me.
No more devil horns.
Just access that at Twitter, 96.9 Game On, or our YouTube page at 96.9 The Game Orlando. Click on the logo on the live button, and you can watch the stream. Come back, a lot of NBA news. LaMelo Ball just traded to Minnesota. The Magic make a pick last night. We'll chat about that next. But here's everybody's favorite segment.
It's almost like an unwritten rule that when you become a father, you become king of the bad dad jokes.
What is Forrest Gump's password? One Forrest one.
Are you ready to laugh? We know at least one person is. Here's CB's dad joke of the day.
Oh, that's so great.
Remembered my mug today. I feel proud of myself.
Yep.
Mark, are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Did you know that one bird cannot make a joke?
No, Chris, I did not know that one bird cannot make a joke.
One bird cannot make a joke, but two can. Two can the bird.
Did you eat Frosted Flakes as a kid?
You mean Fruit Loops?
Or Fruit Loops, rather, yeah.
I actually do have Fruit Loops at the house.
There you go. Toucan, get it? Big week for NBA news. Again, this morning, the big story, LaMelo Ball gets traded from Charlotte to Minnesota. Backcourt of LaMelo Ball and Anthony Edwards. Sounds kind of fun. Christian Anderson was the pick of Charlotte. Maybe that was a sign of things because, it's an excellent spot for Anderson. It's coming back from an injury that hurt him in Texas Tech at the end of the season. Last year when healthy, he's pretty good. And him and Con Knipple, assuming Anderson steps in and plays well as a rookie. It's not a bad situation there. LaMelo Ball's under contract for 3 more years, but it's a tax move for the Timberwolves. But I get it. This team has gone deep the last couple of years and felt like that improved themselves. And interesting move. Yes.
Do you think this makes them I'll say at the level of an OKC or San Antonio?
No.
They're still a notch below?
I don't think OKC. OKC was hurt at the end of the season last year. But first off, you can't knock what Minnesota's done the last couple of seasons, how far they've gone. They just didn't get to the next step. And I appreciate it if they think that, hey, this is a move that kind of solidifies us and makes us better. They lose something, though, in Naz Reid. That's a pretty, pretty important part of what they did up front. But sometimes you got to make a deal. And they opted to make a deal. So the Magic last night took Isaiah Nelson. He played 3 years at Arkansas State and then 1 season at South Florida. If you look at his numbers, he got better in points per game every single year. He won the American Player of the Year. He was their Defensive Player of the Year and Newcomer of the Year. This isn't knocking him. The American, I think, took a step back this year. Memphis wasn't very good. But South Florida had a good season. They got to the NCAA tournament. And here's the plus of drafting Isaiah Nelson. First off, he fits what Jeff Weltman loves of wingspans. He's 6'8", 7'2" wingspan, high motor, great energy, crashes the boards, can defend multiple positions, and 22 years old. So he fits or checks the box if you like those guys. He doesn't have an offensive game outside of in the paint above the rim. It's where the majority of his points came from. He can finish at the basket. The three-point numbers, they are what they are. He was 7 for 49 last year. His career in college, he was a 15% three-point shooter. He's not about to become a 37% three-point shooter. He can tell you all the things that he has in his bag, but he's not going to become a three-point shooter. The Magic did not draft him to be a three-point shooter. There's nothing wrong with the pick. There's nothing wrong with the pick. You could say Henry Visar was there from North Carolina. I kind of wonder where the Magic take him. They didn't. If you want to throw a name of somebody that you think, well, how about this player as a shooter? You'd have to really sell me on who it was at that point. Like Richie Saunders was gone earlier. Sharp from Houston was gone earlier. Those are guys that you could say, hey, they're adding shooting. This is also a pick that you've got to see what else happens for the Magic here. 10 o'clock hour, WI Jim Milano, WJRHC2 Cocoa Beach. Meaning, Jonathan Isaac will not be in this basketball team next season. He's either going to be traded or the Magic will let him go and stretch his money out over the course of years, which they can do. Gogo Batazzi, I would think, is likely not going to be on this roster. Mo Wagner-May, is he our version of Giannis' brother? A little bit of a stretch. I just said on the bridge, if you get the Mo 2 years ago, that's fine. If you get the Mo last season, that was not very good, considering he was out of the rotation for a period of time, and things get really weird with that whole rotation. But it's a frontline guy that probably is going to get a two-way contract, meaning he can go back and forth to the G League. You can get 3 two-way contracts, and he's the classic candidate for that. So if you're screaming today going, what a steal the Magic got, fine, have at it. They're not plugging him in tomorrow to say he's going to play 10, 15, 18 minutes a game. There's no way. Okay. He's not the same player as Noah Penda, who's more below the rim, but tough, physical, again, can defend, can block shots. It's fine. Let's see what else happens in the front court for the Magic. Okay. If Wendell Carter Jr. is still going to be the guy in the middle, and you want to bring back Mo Wagner, let's see what else is added to this front line. And then you can decide, okay, what's his role? Between Chase Richardson, Noah Penda, and this latest pick, just be realistic as to what the Magic were doing. They drafted guys that at that particular moment they thought, okay, this player's got potential. The Magic could use some frontline depth. So they drafted somebody. He does nothing to improve their shooting. He will not become a key shooter for them. He can, and I respect him. Hey, three-point shooting is in my bag. They didn't draft him to shoot threes, okay? He's drafted as the classic Weltman guy, wingspan, defend multiple positions, crash the board, and things like that. If they felt there was no other shooter that was worth the pick there, fine. You could have, between the kid from Tennessee, Virginia, North Carolina, and him, I'll be honest, you could have taken any four of those guys, and you would have said, okay, fine, you're drafting somebody that you hope has potential. If his combine in Chicago was a key factor, his interview, whatever, fine. But like I said, when you go to a garage sale 4 hours after it opened, you're not going to get the prime stuff, okay? The prime stuff, when it opened, went on Tuesday night. The minute the sale started on Wednesday night, it's not the same stuff that you're going shopping for. You're going to get things that are chipped, not working, need something replaced, and that's what the Magic got here. Doesn't mean it's a bad pick. I don't think it's a great pick. It's a pick that they believe is going to fit a need as this roster begins to get tweaked. Okay? Like I said earlier about Jonathan Isaac, in all due respect, the healthy Jonathan Isaac was an excellent defender that actually could shoot a corner three, okay, and was taller, is taller. No, he is taller. The Jonathan Isaac the last few years, I mean, come on. The last contract was just an absolute waste for what they got. Just an absolute waste. So you don't want that version. I mean, you want a guy that right now isn't going to cost you much. He gets no guaranteed money here. He's a classic two-way player. And what's the upside? The upside is he's 22, can crash the boards, again, can defend multiple positions, got better every year that he was in college, and will come in with a high motor. And, we're going to say all the same things we always say, right? Energy, wingspan, defender, high motor, fine. He may play more games, like I said, with Osceola on his chest than he does Orlando, because they better not be done as far as their front line, because that's not good enough. And it doesn't solve anything in the area of shooting, which was not going to be fixed last night. So the pick's fine. There wasn't the obvious, oh, my God, how could you pass on so-and-so? Again, they went shopping late at the garage sale, and that's what you end up taking. The next few weeks will be really interesting for the Magic because of what's out there, what they can add, who gets the mid-level exemption, and that they have to find somebody that can shoot. You've got to find somebody that you believe, okay, this is someone that is going to come off the bench and knock down shots. And Chris, I mean, there's a bunch of different names out there, but I don't know if the Knicks are bringing back Landry Shamet because they got some challenges there. You need a player like that you just know, hey, your job is to shoot and hit threes, and when we call upon you, you got to knock them down. I'm going to need you to be closer to 40%, if not over, and that's it. You got to go find a guy like that. They didn't solve that last night, and that's okay. The product's not done. It's like the same thing with Miami and Milwaukee after the trade. Everyone wants to grade the trade. It's foolish. You want to grade the trade short term, then opening night, look at the two rosters and decide, wow, Miami's pretty thin behind the two guys. Or, wow, look what Milwaukee did by making that deal and moving other pieces and setting themselves up for years to come. Then you can judge it. Same deal with the Magic roster. It's not done. It's kind of close to being done, but it's not done. They've got some things that they got to decide internally, and then as far as pieces that they may be able to add. So, again, the pick is fine. He was a good player at South Florida, was a major reason why they went to the NCAA tournament last year, and they added a guy that's 6'8", that now fill in all the typical Jeff Weltman stuff, wingspan, energy, multiple position defender, and it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. I mean, I don't know what else people want of a second-round pick. I mean, it's just what you're picking from. And at that spot, there were a number of bigs that you can go get of guys that were not the best player on their team. He was the best player in South Florida's team. He was. And they could have taken any one of the four bigs I was thinking about because there was no shooter that stood out. I mean, for the Magic, I would have loved to have seen Richie Saunders, a healthy Richie Saunders, because I'm tired of seeing him shoot threes against UCF all the time. But no, he's a real good shooter. But he wasn't there. So if you think this is the steal of the second round, fantastic. Fantastic. If you think it's a useless pick, you might be right, because we do this all the time, especially when you have one pick of the draft. You go, man, wow, how come we couldn't find blank? Because that's where you were picking. Did they try to move up? Did they have their eye on somebody? Maybe. And they moved out of a pick. I mean, they drafted somebody else, moved out of that pick, and ended up picking Nelson. So it's okay. It's just another piece that they can add, but that front line can't be done. So let's see what happens with Jonathan Isaac. And let's see what happens with Gogo Batazzi. Same deal. Flashes, moments, played fairly well, disappeared, didn't play for weeks of time. And what? It's part of the new coaching staff. Now it's up to Sean Sweeney to figure out how else they can make the team better working with Jeff Weltman and what they do in the course of the next month. So when the roster's done, then you get a better idea. So all they did last night was add a piece that may play a role in a somewhat revamped front line. But the decision on Anthony Black looms. The ability of using the mid-level exemption, finding a shooter, then we'll get a better idea. So that's what I think of Isaiah Nelson last night. The pick is fine. And again, guy that improved each year, 3 years at Arkansas State, 1 year at South Florida. He's not going to shoot threes in the NBA, no matter what he thinks is in his bag. And that's not criticizing him. He has a lot of good things for what he does. And when you're drafting at that point, that's what you're getting. And someone that specializes in something really good, and his job will be bring energy, crash the boards, get a block, get a steal, get a run out, and that'll be his job. He's not coming off the bench to knock down threes. That's not going to be his deal. We'll talk football with Cam Miller in about 25 minutes for his weekly visit with us. By the way, 10 weeks from tonight is UCF's first football game.
It's exciting.
Less than 7 weeks, and less than 10 weeks to week 0. FSU plays in, 66 days.
It's exciting.
Yeah.
Football's right around the corner.
All right, more of the Beat of Sports coming up.
What's good, locos? This is Angel from the Monsters in the Morning on Real Radio 104.1, and you're listening to the voice of UCF, Marc Daniels, and the Beat of Sports on FM 96.9 The Game. You want real sports talk? You got it right here.
Beat of Sports on this Thursday. And the big NBA news this morning, LaMelo Ball traded from Charlotte to Minnesota. Naz Reid and some other parts and draft picks. Charlotte loads up on draft picks, and they actually have a lot of money still to be active. So interesting, the pivot by Charlotte after the strong second half that LaMelo Ball had. The Timberwolves deciding that they want to pivot and bring Ball in. And sometimes teams got to decide, do we want to mix things up and go in a different direction? And both these teams have made that decision.
Nothing like a 2033 first-round pick.
Yeah.
7 years from now.
Some leagues don't allow you to trade a pick that far down the road. The NFL doesn't.
And then with these pick swaps, what if Minnesota doesn't want to swap?
No, it's not how pick swaps work. There's not, there's conditions that at some point the swap happens. You can, but it's, no, never mind. That doesn't get to, never mind. We'll keep it. No, you got to, that's written in the deal. But anyway, the NBA only takes a back seat to the NFL because the NFL is the dominant sports property in this country. But the soap opera and player movement in the NBA, even though, as I said the other day, the era of the true free agent's gone, the trade in the NBA is still a big deal. And all the rumors that go with it, I don't think anybody comes close to the NBA in the soap opera of player movement.
Well, the NBA is run by the players, so that's why I see a lot of movement.
The NBA is run by the players. That's why you see a lot of movement.
If they don't want to be somewhere, they force their way out.
Okay, but you do realize it's happening also in the National Football League.
More now,
yeah,
but not. I mean, it's the
Tell me you don't feel sorry for owners here.
The billionaire owner?
Yeah, tell me you don't feel. If somebody's making $60 million to play basketball, you do realize that the owner's doing okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I just want to make sure when you said that the players run the NBA, I want to make sure that you weren't thinking that owners are, the poor owners are struggling here.
No.
Okay. But you have a problem in a player-empowered sport?
I didn't say that.
Oh, then what's the beef? Where's the beef?
I didn't say there was a beef.
But you said the players run the NBA.
Yeah. All I meant was the players, if they want out of a situation, they force it.
But how is that different than any sport?
It's a little bit harder to do in the NFL.
How?
There's a little bit more control in the NFL.
Where? Give me a star in the NFL.
Brandon Ayuk right now.
Yeah. What about it?
John Lynch has come out and said he's played his last snap with the San Francisco 49ers.
Right.
Yet he's still on the team.
For business contractual purposes at the moment, do you think he's ever going to take a snap in San Francisco again?
No.
Okay. Let me take Joe Burrow. Okay. And as I'm starting this, how many years on his contract left?
Let me look.
You want to look that up.
Yep.
Okay. If Joe Burrow, which he probably has done the last couple of years, complains to management and ownership about we're not spending to keep guys.
2030, he will be a free agent.
Okay. If during this year his offensive line is woeful,
mm-hmm.
and he says, I want out, what's the difference?
I don't think that the Bengals would trade him.
Okay. If he says, I want out, I've had enough here, what's different than anybody in the NBA that does the same thing?
Again, it's just more likely to happen in the NBA than it is the NFL.
I think I push back on that a little bit. The contract part of it plays a factor about how many years left. But I think where you and I are disagreeing is I think in any sport, a star player with leverage does the same thing. I mean, if Joe Burrow wanted to force a trader to Cincinnati, he could.
We don't really see players forcing trades. We see, at least in the NFL, we see more players getting new contracts more than trades.
Okay, and again, we're getting into the extension opportunities in the NBA are different than the structure
Right.
of NFL contracts.
Yes.
Okay, so that's where this kind of comes into play. But I think, and we're arguing on a couple of different points here. I believe that in any sport, if the star player wants to create an uncomfortable situation to force the team to make a move, that likely happens. I mean, if Joe Burrow decides at the end of this season and would have, 4 more years left under contract, and maybe it's not even that when you take a closer look, if he wants to force the issue, he could force the issue. And ultimately, a team and owner decides we're going to keep an unhappy guy here, or we're going to try to maximize the value of this player. I don't think it's different in any league. I think the contractual structuring sometimes comes in to play. I think, and maybe I'm lumping you in with this. I think there's a view of sports fans that don't like when players try to utilize power when ownership has always had that power. For example, the Jaylen Brown situation. Okay, do you think he's trying to force a trade in Boston?
I didn't think he was.
Okay.
I'm starting to kind of feel that way.
Okay. So in, I believe it was 2022, when he was rumored to be out there, in fact, heck, you want to go back when the Magic were moving Evan Fournier and, other players. I think Vooch was still here. He was part of rumors. And Brad Stevens even said in his press conference the other day, or what would that have been? Yesterday. No, I'm sorry, Tuesday night of the draft. Hey, we're good with Jaylen. If management can move you anytime, what's the difference than the player saying, I don't work on a one-way street. I reached a point in my career that I think I've got some leverage as a player through my performance. It's a two-way street. I understand that you can move me anytime,
Mm-hmm.
but if I have the leverage and I want to move myself, then I'm going to use that. What's the difference? I don't think there's a difference. So I think in any sport, which changed over the years, was a public perception of one side only. Where I do think, and maybe the NBA was the first to do this 15 years ago, like we lost our mind when Anthony Davis, the Pelican, tried to force his way out. Every sport has that. A player feels like, I want to control my own situation. I don't want to let you control my situation. Now, Brandon Ayuk has no leverage. Why? Because there's 100 guys that can do what he does. He's not Justin Jefferson.
Right.
He's not Jamar Chase. I mean, come on, right? So he has no leverage. He may have a market of a few teams, but he has no leverage. So the Niners just say, well, I mean, we'll dance this until we no longer want to work in your world. But what's Justin Jefferson's contract? I'm asking you to do the work that I should be doing. How many years left on that thing? Well, he just signed, right?
Yeah, not too long ago. He signed a 4-year extension. It's going to be keeps him through the 2028 season.
2028. All right. And again, the way the NFL structured, who even knows what the last season is? Let's say between Kyler Murray and J.J. McCarthy this year.
Mhm.
No one can stay healthy, and the Vikings are 7-10. He can't force a trade. He couldn't say, I'm out of here. It's my prime years. I don't want to go through this. Kyler Murray didn't work out. McCarthy's small. It was going to be a great quarterback draft. I don't want to go through a rookie quarterback. He couldn't force a trade? Of course he could.
I mean, he could say he wants one. Whether he gets one, I don't know.
I know, but you understand my point.
But that's what I'm saying. It's more likely that the NBA player is traded than the NFL player.
Again, I'll push back and I'll disagree. If he's unhappy,
then why do we see more trades in the NBA of bigger name players than the NFL?
Part of that is the structure of contracts. I acknowledge that. My point, though, is that the star player that has leverage in the last decade has a greater chance of getting out. And I think it even applies in the National Football League. Like, you and I disagree about Myles Garrett. I think Myles Garrett wanted out. I do. I think he got tired. Now, he got a deal done because he made sure that he got paid. It also made it easier to trade him because he was under contract. Just so happens the Rams were like, okay, we'll do this.
Or he could have just signed as a free agent literally anywhere he wanted.
He got guaranteed money and a ton of it. And yes, that probably was a factor in it. Again, I think where you and I are arguing here is that I just think star players have an ability that maybe you don't think. Like LaMelo Ball maybe wanted out. I don't know. Maybe he liked what he did finishing the season in Charlotte. In the end, the Hornets like, well, no, we're done with you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure he's not upset that he's going to play with Anthony Edwards in the backcourt and goes to a team that can contend.
Right.
But the player empowerment thing, which I do think years ago rubbed people the wrong way, and I do think that there was a lot of reasons that people didn't like it. Some of it's social, but it's not new. Here, I'll touch a nerve.
Mm-hmm.
If the Magic didn't change coaches, would it have been crazy to think a certain guy who wears number 5 would have said, I don't want to do this?
It's possible.
Before the extension started.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Now, again, you may say, well, that's the NBA. But when you're in position and have some leverage, I think players have learned through agents, an example of others, it doesn't have to be a one-way street. Most players do not ever get to that position because they're replaceable. But those that are not replaceable are in those moments of having leverage, and the star player uses that these days. And I do think it bothers some people, particularly if it happens to your team. Like in Cincinnati, Bengal fans have been like, what do you mean Joe Burrow doesn't want to be here? And if he says, because I'm tired of, not winning the next game or enough games or offensive line help or not investing in our defense and things like that, I think that happens more than people think. Players don't always get what they want, but I think the street no longer has gone one way. So, Cam Mellor is going to talk some football with us. His weekly visit is next.
This segment is presented by Bowegan's Beer Company. Love data? Love analytics? Let's take a deeper dive into both as we talk to Cam Meller,
What you know is very limited, and what you don't know is limitless.
the Chief Analytics and Data Officer at Pro Football Network. You can follow Cam on X or Twitter at Cam Meller.
We talk football every week because it's always football season. As we mentioned, we're less than 10 weeks to week 0 for college football, so about to get into single digits. Good morning, Cam. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing great. You said in less than 10 weeks. So it's like we're in that single digit countdown moment. It feels like it's back in like February when we were counting down to the draft. And now here we are counting down to August.
I said this yesterday in talking with Chris that in the NBA, and we just get done with the draft there, I think the evaluation process, and I'm curious your thoughts about the NFL, it's hard to find a steal, meaning players now get scouted and sometimes sadly at a young age where their age is a single digit, and we rank them and they compete in these tournaments and play on these different teams, that it's really hard to go, man, what a steal we got here. I'm just curious how you've looked at the scouting process for football over the years, and if it's also grown like that, where there's so much data, there's so much information, so much video out there that it's hard to find diamonds in the rough. Not that players don't develop and you get guys that are playing Division II or things like that, but it's hard to not know about a prospect these days, isn't it?
It's really hard. It used to be the old adage, right? That if you play good, they'll find you, right? And now it's with what we have now at our disposal. I think the analytics era didn't diminish and take away steals altogether. So I'm in complete agreement here. It's significantly harder to find a steal, but also everybody has thousands of followers on Twitter or on any social media platform nowadays. And the evaluators are also at public with their evaluations for the most part too. And so we're seeing these kids. Gone are the days that Bill Belichick is scouting Eastern Illinois on a road trip and then pulling out someone like Kyle Duggar, who's going to turn into a Pro Bowler in his rookie season, because those players are moving up as well with the transfer portal. But also, I mean, the available information across all the platforms is significantly larger.
And I would think in this portal world where, and this is where I think the portal has been great. You got a guy that played, say he was a D2 or a G6 that worked his way up to play at a Power 4 level, has made it somewhat easier than the guessing game of how does he play at this level, right?
It has. It's made it completely different and easier for college coaches that are apt at recruiting these players as well. But also, ultimately, it's gone are the days that there are those diamonds in the rough, because we're finding them ahead of time. We're getting significantly ahead of that recruiting era. You're constantly recruiting. It's made the jobs of these college coaches and probably these NFL coaches even harder, because you have to use and figure out what analytics and what information you want to use, and then also marry that with your human touch and human evaluation. So it's a different game and a different area of expertise that it takes, which is why we've seen some of the older coaches get out, and it's all transformed for the best. It's much more public, and it makes it even more encouraging for these athletes, because it used to be, countless athletes would go unappreciated and undervalued, and now here we are in the era where they're not.
All right, I'm going to kind of use this as a transfer week. I'm going to throw some names at you, players that are moving from one school to another, maybe some up, maybe some just in a lateral move, and I'm curious your thoughts on what it means to their draft profile. Sam Levitt is from Arizona State, is now at LSU. What changes in his evaluation perhaps in a year with Lane Kiffin at LSU?
Can he institute the playbook quickly? Is there going to be any sort of stopgap at before the injuries and before everything took hold last year, what we saw with his progression from spot starters and some success in 2023 in spurts, but then ultimately what we saw with great potential from his 2024 season before the injuries tarnished what was last year. So can he get that playbook? Can he show that he's got those fundamentals still? And can he process against these SEC defenses? I think that's the biggest thing for him. Probably one of the only things left. We know he's talented with his arm and talented with that frame and his athletic ability. So can he process against these SEC defenses?
I'm sure money was the biggest factor, but Cam Coleman goes from the uncertainty at quarterback at Auburn, maybe not this year as Alex Golesh brought his quarterback with him, but now goes to Texas. What changes for his profile?
It puts him more on the map, which sounds crazy to be at an SEC school and a perennial power like an Auburn, or should be a perennial power like Auburn. it puts him on the map more. And I think people, if you knew his potential at Auburn, maybe the rest of the country didn't quite know who he is at 6'3", 200 plus pounds, and his ability to get above the rim, but also run a full route tree. I think, yes, having a quarterback that can actually throw him the football accurately and also maybe contend with him. So for him, it's just a matter of, can he showcase all that in that offense and eat up those targets, and then he's going to get the quarterback one from the opposite as well. So he's going to play against some of the better quarterbacks in the entire country. I think that's his biggest thing. Can he continue to dominate against everybody?
Justice Haynes is an interesting story, the running back, Alabama, Michigan, and now Georgia Tech.
Do you want to play if you're a running back? Do you want to play for anybody but Georgia Tech right now at this point? Because it feels like this is going to be a run-heavy offense with a Mauler mentality under Brent. I mean, this is a team that Justice Haynes was one of those bowling ball type players, built like a solid block of untackleable clay. And so for Haynes, he's got some great elusiveness as well as use his hard-nosed running what he can run between the tackles. He's a top 100 prospect, an early day 2 pick, in my opinion.
Caleb Hawkins is following his coach and quarterback from North Texas to Oklahoma State. I was chosen among many to vote in the Big 12 preseason all-conference teams. I gave serious thought because he had such a good year, but he's one of those guys as his quarterback goes from a G6 to a P4. Caleb Hawkins, as he now goes to the Big 12.
Yes, so Caleb Hawkins, I won't make the mistake that my former employer PFF did by ranking him for this class as a true sophomore. But as a college football player, they don't get much more exciting. And so to me, Caleb Hawkins, his ability in space, his ability between the tackles too, he's going to be one of those guys that's going to emerge on the national stage, which sounds crazy with the success he had last year and the ability he has. But I want to see him hold up and withstand against these bigger defenses, so to speak. It sounds so simple and sounds so easy, but it's not, because the rigors of a Big 12 schedule, a full Big 12 schedule that he'll do now. Can he contend against linebackers that are a step faster? Can he actually make moves in space against some of those secondary members? I think this is the big step for his game, and if he can do so, which I think he can, he'll be one of those potential first-round prospects.
Years ago, somebody said he had a potential stud wide receiver. He's going to go from Michigan State to Indiana. You would have said, what? But Nick Marsh is going from a head-scratching moment for Michigan State football, just where they're at, to Indiana, where Josh Hoover moves over there. For those that don't know about Nick Marsh, what should they know?
Nick Marsh. I mean, if Cam Coleman has the body frame you want as a wide receiver, Nick Marsh has that in spades as well. But also, I think that there's an untapped potential that we didn't see in Nick Marsh, and he sort of flew under the radar because he's from Detroit, played at Michigan State. He's been under the radar almost his entire career, it feels like, despite being sort of a high-profile recruit. You don't get quite the love that you would do if you play in the South for some reason. And so March gets that a chance at an ability. And yes, I'm scoffing at Indiana here because that sounds so crazy still to say. But Josh Hoover and his incredible ability to push the ball and drive the ball downfield, Nick Marsh, probably one of the better deep threats this year in all of college football. And so I think an early round type of guy, if he can all come together with Hoover.
I think you might be proud of me. I did the number research. He allowed just 7 pressures on 328 pass blocking snaps. Jordan Seaton was at Colorado. Now he goes to LSU, and suddenly there's a whole different view about him because of where he's going to be playing. What about Jordan Seaton?
Yeah, I'm impressed. The numbers there. I'm impressed with your ability to go find him. I appreciate it. It makes my heart happy. But I've also been impressed if Jordan Seaton was going to be the player that we thought he was going to be, with that high, top 20 recruit nationally, consensus 5-star across the board. Didn't look like it quite his freshman year. And then as a sophomore, he came into his own. And this is now at LSU. It feels like this is putting him on the map as potentially the best tackle in this class if he can come all together. And I think what we've noticed is a correlatable skill set as well. It's pressures and true drop back situations. So none of these creative plays and gimmick plays. What does he do when it's a true drop back pass attempt? And he was the best in the nation last year at Colorado. So all things considered, this is the guy you want to watch if you're watching LSU football, which sounds kind of crazy, but watch Seaton play this year because it's something. Let
me say there, Prince William and Emilian was part of the group at Ole Miss that's gone over there. Tell me about Prince Will.
Yeah, so it's that talented duo on the edge, him and his brother that once were, and I think another one the frame that Principal has as well with his speed and ability, where it feels like every year we have one of these 6'5", 250 guys that's kind of run like a 4.4, 4.5 40, and I think he's right in that wheelhouse where he wins with speed. He wins with his early hands as well as late hands. I mean, this guy, he has it all, and I think putting it on display should be this season for him to make the leap into a first-round contention. I think he's on the precipice of that, and his moves didn't do anything to harm what I think will be a breakout year if he didn't already have one.
I know I've asked you before. Some guys it makes sense, but like he's on his third school in 3 years. Is that a mark by NFL teams? They're like, no, he's following his coach. That's not as odd. He's at Nebraska, then he bounced. I mean, what would be a red flag versus no? He's progressing forward.
Yeah, I think it's progressing forward and finding the right situation, but also I believe there was a breakout year his freshman year, or redshirt freshman, right? And then he's shown that he can work under different coordinator systems. And so as long as you have the confidence in the player, and I think that's where we talk about it every year, every offseason after the season, is the off the field stuff is probably 66% of what that pre-draft process is from January to April. And so can he institute playbooks? And this is going to be a guy who's shown that he can get right into a defense, mesh and gel with the current defensive players and the staff as well. And so I think as long as you're reading between the lines the right way and feel confident with the player, it shouldn't hurt. But yeah, it's see how well and how quickly he institutes himself on that LSU defense will be big this year.
Got a couple more here. Yeah, I must say on the defensive side, John Henry Daly. That dude was an animal at Utah last year. And part of that, just Utah's known as a tough, hardest nails defense, and now he goes to Michigan.
Yeah, so I mean, it didn't surprise me that their highest rated defensive player and their highest rated defensive lineman in some time followed his defensive coordinator Morgan Scalley to Michigan. So one of those players that sort of, I would say he almost came out of nowhere last year because he sort of had that potential and ability. We saw him a very underrated recruit, and we saw in spurts what he could do. But last year was dominant. I mean, there was quick wins, there was wins with strength, and wins with up the middle or around the edge. So a guy who played a sort of in between. I'm excited to see what he can do in the edge against some of these really talented Big Ten guys because he's a first-round pick, in my opinion.
Good example. I mentioned about G6 guys, and now he's at Texas Tech. Trey White, defensive end, and Texas Tech's defense is really good last year, and they're going to be really good this year, regardless of who the quarterback is. Tell me about Trey White.
Yeah, it feels like they, with that oil money, they can buy all the best defensive players in the portal each year. And
whoa!
Trey White's, with that Trey White, that's what they're doing. It's probably one of the better transfer prospects to make the G6 to E4 leap as well. Maybe not quite a John Henry Daly level yet, but I think Trey White has the ability to win with speed, and he's got shades of a couple different players, but I want to see what he can do in that Texas Tech defense, because if they put David Bailey on the map last year, Trey White has the chance, I think, to win different ways than David Bailey, different player than David Bailey, but definitely can win with speed off the edge there. And there's no better defensive coach and defensive front, in my opinion, to land in the portal than Texas Tech.
Yeah, I told you I was finishing out that Big 12 first team list, and I'm like, I'm not quite sure who matters at quarterback. That defense is disgusting at Texas Tech this year. I mean, it's really good.
It's almost unfair. Really I think good. Bryce Pollock flies under the radar because he doesn't get targeted because no one wants to throw against him. And so there's dudes at every position.
Please follow and support Cam's work on X or Twitter at Cam Melder. Get the link to the site and all the fun stuff for the off season, and the season is upon us as well. Thanks. Talk to you next week. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thanks, guys.
How about Daniels doing the research, pressure on
impressing Cam Miller?
How about that?
Impressing Cam Miller.
Doing some homework. Preparing. Yeah, all that fun stuff. All right. We got an 11 o'clock hour coming up, which includes a history lesson. But first, World Cup update. It is brought to you by our friends at Fiddler's Green Irish Pub. Yesterday in World Cup action, as teams play their final games in group play, Bosnia-Herzegovina beat Qatar 3-1. The Switzerland beat Canada 2-1. Costly loss for the Canadians, who do advance the round of 32, but now will not play in Canada in the knockout round. Morocco advances with a 4-2 win over Haiti. Brazil, an easy 3-0 winner over Scotland in the match down in Miami. Mexico, 3-0 over Czechia last night. And South Africa, with the upset, advances to the knockout round for the first time. They beat South Korea by a score of 1-0. Among the schedule today, the Americans will play late tonight, 10 o'clock is their match against Turkey at SoFi in L.A. The U.S. has already advanced. Mauricio Pochettino said, as did Christian Pulisic, they'll see how he feels tonight. He has been conditioning with the team the last few days. Also, Pochettino mentioning with a number of players on a yellow card, they'll be careful how they use them tonight to keep them available for the knockout round. Our coverage is brought to you by friends at Fitter's Green Irish Pub.
Let's really do the news.
Yes.
Now it is time to do the news.
But now it's time for the news.
11 o'clock hour, WYGM Orlando and WJR HD2 Cocoa Beach. The Beat of Sports, I'm Marc Daniels, Chris Vasquez over there. Last night, the Magic did make a pick in the second round after they had made a pick and then traded that and came back and used the 51st pick on Isaiah Nelson. Nelson played at South Florida last year, led the Bulls to the NCAA tournament, played 3 years at Arkansas State. He was the American Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, Newcomer of the Year. Big part of their successful season. He's a frontline guy, measured 6'8" of the combine, but energy, can grab rebounds, block shots, not an offensive guy outside. Everything for him was above the rim, getting to the rim. So the Magic drafted him to add to a front line that still has some work to do in the coming weeks as the Magic begin to tinker with that roster. The big NBA news today, LaMelo Ball is traded from the Charlotte Hornets to Minnesota for Naz Reid. A few other parts going back and forth with some picks here. Despite a solid second half of the season by Charlotte, they punt on LaMelo Ball, who now joins a backcourt with Anthony Edwards. Christian Anderson was drafted by the Hornets, the Texas Tech point guard, and he maybe slides in now with Con Knipple for their new backcourt in Charlotte. Either A, the Hornets were feeling like they had fool's gold with LaMelo Ball and not long-term. Minnesota gets a guy under contract for 3 more years. It does create a lot of space for Charlotte right now.
Can I look at it from the Minnesota side real quick?
Sure.
Do you think these guys, I mean, they're both very ball-centric
Yes.
guards. You think that's going to cause a problem? Because both of them want the ball in their hands at all times.
We'll see. We'll see. Look, clearly Charlotte says, yeah, the second half was good, but there's some other stuff about LaMelo Ball that doesn't work. His shot selection, not getting teammates involved as much, and maybe we run the course, and if we can sell him high now, we'll do that. Minnesota, to me, has made a decision. We've been good, but it hasn't worked. They just moved Julius Randle. We're going to pivot. We think we've got one of the NBA's best players. We want to keep him happy. And we think this makes us a better offensive team, so we'll pull the trigger on the deal. Time will tell if there's a winner to this thing. But when teams take a chance, I don't criticize initially because you want to see how it plays itself out. Now, Chris, it may be they don't work together. This is a mess. But I relatively new ownership with Alex Rodriguez and his group there. And if they're saying, hey, it's been good for 2 years, now we got to break this up. They move Randall, free themselves of that contract. They now add a Ball. Let's see what happens. Let's see. I don't fault teams that say, look, we've gone as far as we've gone. Okay. And by the way, this is completely unfair, but I'm just trying to give an example. If this season in Orlando leads to a first-round exit with the same issues of inability to shoot and what appears to be, again, a struggle of those two guys duplicating themselves too much, do you just say, we'll keep running it back? Or would you have to go, I don't know if this works anymore. Maybe we've got to decide what pieces we want to keep and what pieces we want to move.
Yep.
Now, I hope it works with Paolo and Franz. The key is going to be health, and that Sean Sweeney and his coaching staff figure out ways to go, yeah, we're going to make it work because these guys are too good to not make it work. But, you know, it kind of happens. Look, whatever you want to believe, go back to the end of the summer last year, or the summer last year, up to the trade deadline this year. You don't think that Leon Rose, the Knicks, didn't at some point say, do I think about a Giannis deal? I mean, what would that be like and what would I move? And whether it never materialized or he said no, and he gambled right because they won the championship. But sometimes you are presented that moment of like, it's a risk, but maybe I try something different. Think about it. If people knew 1/10 of the trades that are thrown out there, we'd be shocked. and sometimes the best deal is the one that you do not make. Um, so we shall see. NFL news, and it is troubling to say the least if you're not aware of the story involving Terrion Arnold, the cornerback for the Detroit Lions. He is facing kidnapping and robbery charges. Turned himself into police yesterday over in Tampa for an incident that took place back in February. Did you read the story?
Yeah, the Airbnb. Like, you're you're a millionaire. You're a millionaire. Like, you can have anything that you want. You're playing football. I think he's got 2 more years left on his rookie deal. Whether he gets re-signed or not, I don't know. But you're just ensuring yourself that you're going to be out of the league like that. All that money gone.
Out of the league. The prosecutors have asked that he remain in jail till the trial date.
Yeah, he's done.
I mean, he's facing prison.
A maximum of life.
Yeah.
He's done.
Yeah. Just a crazy story. Mookie Betts hit his 300th career home run. Shohei Ohtani is 8-2 with an ERA of 1.58. He's 3 home runs shy of 300 himself. I like Mookie Betts, except that time he jumped into the stands at Yankee Stadium and tried to beat up 2 diehard Yankee fans with his glove. Huh? What? U.S. Tonight plays Turkey in the final match of group play. The Americans have advanced. They're going to play outside of San Francisco in the round of 32. Their opponent still to be determined as group play begins to wind down. We'll see if Christian Pulisic plays tonight a little bit for the Americans.
Can I ask you some U.S. strategy here?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're about to break it down. Well, I saw 4 Americans have yellow cards. Do you risk playing them?
He was asked about that yesterday. He said that they would think about it and be careful in who they play and when you might pull them.
You
Yeah.
get 5 substitutions in the World Cup,
Mhm.
correct? Okay.
Yeah. I would not be shocked if 2 do not play tonight to protect them. And if Pulisic plays, I'll be curious how much he plays as well. And there's that thought of, yes, you want to be healthy, but do you want to take yourself out of rhythm? And I'm not saying you give the match away, but I think there's something to that. Pochettino was asked about it. He's like, the minute you start thinking about who to rest, who not to play, you take yourself off of what's been the normal preparation and planning to win. And he says that they play to win. By the way, John Calipari does have someone that adds the numbers. What I mean by that is 41 players now have been chosen in the first round since 2000. Darius A-Cup becomes the 42nd. Okay. The on-court earnings of $3.6 billion. Cal likes to use that in recruiting.
Why would you not?
I don't argue. Some top players will limit their post-match appearances next week at Wimbledon in just 15 minutes. It's part of a protest over tournament revenues that they think players should get more of. Does that mean like there's a clock and someone asks a question, you just get up and walk out? All right.
I don't understand limiting your media availability, how that hurts
They're
Wimbledon.
using their leverage to say, listen, I might be in the middle of a press conference. I'm walking out at minute 15.
But I don't see how limiting your media availability hurts Wimbledon.
Draws attention. I just told you about it. History lesson coming up in about 25 minutes. The U.S. team will play tonight a little bit more on the strategy of what they face and the rest of what's been this remarkable tournament coming up. Thursday. I was mentioning earlier when we had Cam Miller on. UCF starts 10 weeks from tonight. Faster than you think, man. Week 0 coming too. The other type of football continues as the World Cup winds down group play. The Americans will play tonight. Ryan Davis is a good soccer friend of mine who we've had on before to talk about soccer. And here we are about to close out group play, and the Americans are going to be in the round of 32. First, good morning, friend. How are you?
I'm doing well. Mark, let's just make it very clear to everyone on the broadcast. Life runs in 4-year increments, okay? Only World Cups. That's how you decide and judge life.
Let me start with the Americans. I don't think it's shocking that they've advanced. The group was somewhat set up. I don't know if people realize that host teams get the benefit of the group usually, and it's designed to give them a chance to advance. But what do you make of the first 2 matches of the U.S. team, how they play, the style of play, and what seems to be a little bit of a groundswell of attention now?
Well, Mauricio Pochettino, about a year ago, made sure the peripheral players played in the Gold Cup and left behind the starters. He created competition. He created every position has 2 players now to compete for 1 spot. And now the speed of play on the field shows that. So in practice, as the guys compete for positions and they finally find the formation and their system in play, you see the speed of play in the last third of the field. And that's what decides the game. That's what creates chances and in the end gets results on the field.
This team is more than Christian Pulisic. What else from a goal-scoring standpoint has stood out? Because they do have more than Pulisic, who may or may not play much tonight, if at all.
Yeah, we have young Reina, who hasn't got a real chance to play consistent minutes. He's an absolute creative spark off the bench. Hopefully he does get a start tonight. Brandon Aronson, who had his best year in the EPL this year gone, he hasn't got consistent minutes as yet. These guys, again, can come in and completely change the complexion of a match. Or if someone does get a knock like Pulisic, they can start and continue that sort of quality either on the left side or up top. I tell you what, these guys look really, really good in the last third of the field.
All right, give me a little bit of an idea with strategy, because the Americans have 4 guys sitting on yellow cards in a match that doesn't mean whether they advance. And Pochettino was asked about it, and I think he kind of said, look, we'll see. But there is an argument to be made that you do not need to play guys sitting on a yellow here.
Yeah, make it very clear. You take every game on its merits in the World Cup, and Mauricio Pochettino knows that all too well from his time in Argentina. So those guys on the yellow card will not play tonight. Again, the guys, next man up sort of mentality. Those guys are ready to go because they've been seasoned over the last 12 months to take the field in case somebody doesn't have an opportunity to play. And you never know. If those guys step up and play the way Pochettino wants them to play tonight, they may have more competition for next week.
Based on what the draw may look like, what now is realistic for the U.S. team?
Quarterfinals is the benchmark. Semifinals, you've basically won the World Cup. So I think quarterfinals has to be it. You have to win a round of 32 match, a knockout match, to justify what you've accomplished over the last few years and really show the public that you've taken the next step.
I say this about Mauricio Pochettino. I admit I'm a bit biased. I wish he was still the manager at Tottenham, but that's the story for a different day. It's interesting to watch him get caught up in this. There was some criticism because of how he handled, as you mentioned, building this team and when playing stars and not, and treating everybody somewhat equal, and maybe making a big deal about the last match. But I'm watching him kind of get caught up in the emotion of chants of USA and enjoying it. I think, as you know, this is going to be short-lived. He's going to take a major job, Real Madrid, likely after this, and probably will not coach this team again. But I do see the Americanized part of Pochettino happening right now.
I think those emotions bleed onto the field. So when the players look across and see Pochettino celebrating, see him pumping assists, see him being part of the atmosphere, everybody starts to inherit that feel-good feeling, and they start to get belief. If the coach believes it, who played in the World Cup, who played at the highest level, believes in me and believes in what's happening right now, everybody else starts to get that feel-good feeling and feel and play as a unit.
Before I ask you about some other teams, this, look, this event and FIFA's what it is. It's a corrupt group. We know that. But for all the criticism and people said about ticket sales, it's been remarkable. These stadiums are full. The atmosphere is incredible. Whether you're watching the Scottish fans, the Dutch fans celebrating, the Brazilian fans last night, it is remarkable to watch that this event thus far seems to have gone off without a hitch, and it's phenomenal.
It's been fantastic. Everybody at the end of the day, when the first whistle blows, all the controversy, all of the the yapping and talking behind the people's backs seems to go away, and everyone just focuses on the tournament. And the fans who have made the trek across the Atlantic or the Pacific, they come here to enjoy their time. Of course, the amount of money that they spent. But it does concern me that the bar has been raised so high, price-wise, that usually those things never go backwards. So that puts the fans in a real problem in the upcoming World Cups.
Soccer analyst Ryan Davis is with us. The hydration breaks are not going anywhere, right? I mean, and we have to accept that this is not going to be a part of it because the money to be made during these stops. And I'll just give an opinion, and I'll value yours more. I like them now because it is a strategy break. And I kind of like when now a manager can gather his assistants in this tech world we live in. We can take out iPads and we can adjust strategy. Your thoughts?
Mark, I'm now the old guy with the hose on his lawn telling everyone to get off his lawn, okay? UEFA came out and made a very strong statement this week that there will be no hydration breaks in the Euro Cup in 2 years' time, which is the second only to the World Cup. Look, listen, you've been allowed 5 substitutes now. That is literally half of the outfield players. Attrition is a huge part of this sport. It's supposed to dictate what happens in the later part of this game. So I'm not a fan of it, but I do understand absolutely the commercial benefit of it. But still, get off my lawn, get rid of those things.
Sometimes you have great events in our country, whether it be any of our pro sports or in college basketball, the tournament where stars need to step up and be stars. It is amazing because we've had now multiple nights where Messi, Haaland, Mbappe play and scoring multiple times. It's incredible. And even Cristiano Ronaldo showed you. I'm not done yet with a couple of goals, but the stars have shined in this event.
It's just amazing how these guys, they gear up for this massive tournament every 4 years. And somehow Messi and Ronaldo can still deliver. And Haaland, of course, Mbappe has done the same thing as well. And Haaland is like, you know what? This is my first time to the dance. I'll show you I can dance on the big stage as well. It is theater, and it's why we watch the World Cup, and it's why we're here, because of these stars, and to enjoy these performances.
Which non-heavy favorite do you now believe has a chance to go deeper than you thought?
The man who predicted the last 3 World Cups predicted that Holland, the greatest team to never win the World Cup, will win this World Cup. So it is the ultimate dark horse. He hasn't failed in 3 World Cups. They are a team. Yes, they don't have the stars that you just mentioned, but from back to front and in modern day soccer, that is more important than any time from before. They are stacked and they work as a unit, which makes them very hard to believe. So the Netherlands is my answer.
Most disappointing team thus far?
South Korea. Brazil, I don't think they've hit stride as yet, but South Korea, I really thought would have gotten into the round of 32 and maybe compete to get into the quarterfinals. They were knocked out last night, and I was disappointed.
Explain how Cape Verde can do what they've done.
Playing for your nation, playing for your mother, playing for your father, playing for your cousin, all emotion, every tackle, influencing your 10-yard radius with pure emotion. If everyone does that for 90 minutes, you get results like what you see.
I had Scott Calabrese on last week. The UCF. Yeah, and I asked him, so I'm going to ask you, explain how Messi at 39 soon
Thank you for asking.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Can successfully know when to walk and save energy and anticipate, which makes him at 39 still the best player in the world.
I answered this question before for someone else who asked me this. Let's go all the way back to Argentina when he was a little boy. He grew up with a father figure who was very strong in his life, taught him discipline, and the team comes first. They come to Barcelona. They go to La Masia, which is the academy in Barcelona. Barcelona is team first. So Messi's incredible ability, supreme ability, is now groomed in a school with team first mentality. So when Messi takes the field now, that ego, which is right there at the back of his head, gets pushed to the side and he plays off of his teammates, which creates havoc for the rest of the competition. And then within that system, within that space, he uses that supreme ability in tight spaces to absolutely. He's a video game. I mean, he gets on top of the D and the ball is in the back of the net. It's like a cheat code. But the fact that he plays within the system and the fact that he plays with his teammates, it just makes him crazy good at a very long age.
I said to somebody, you know, I've discussed American football before. I said to somebody, what made Brady and Manning brilliant was their pre-snap read of anticipating not necessarily the first move, because you know that was going to happen, but what the second move is going to be. And that's what amazes me about Messi all the time. It's not the first move. It's like he knows 2-3 passes ahead.
Genius. And he has a technique, just like a Brady and a Manning have, to execute as soon as that window opens up. I mean, he executes like nobody else, Mark. Nobody else.
I'm going to end with this. My producer, Chris, is part Colombian through marriage here, and his wife just returned from her native country. So tell Chris, do the Colombians have a chance to go deep in this?
Absolute legit chance. They came in third in South American qualifiers in Argentina and Ecuador. This team is a little bit like the Dutch, where from back to front they're solid, and you have Luis Diaz and James Rodriguez, just enough of that extra bit of talent and unrehearsed play to get them goals in very tight situations in the round of 32, quarterfinal, semifinal, and final.
Last question, very serious. Do you believe the witch doctor successfully put a curse on Harry Kane in the England-Ghana match?
I think the witch doctor did his job, and I think it came out from Harry Kane. Take a loss, take a knee. Witch doctor, take a bow.
Ryan, good stuff. We'll catch up again soon. Enjoy the rest of the tournament. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Mark. Looking forward to it.
Ryan Davis, the soccer analyst. He likes Colombia there.
That's fantastic.
You know, likes your team.
I like him, man. He, I guess just based off what he said, I would also be the old guy on the lawn with the hydration breaks.
Listen, I don't like the hydration break, the concept. I have an appreciation of the sport and its history. But the hydration break, and he's right. UEFA's already said it won't be used for the European Championships in a couple of years. But every person in media knows that there's dollars to be made, and someone's going to get the end dollars of what was made in the hydration break here. And I'm going to guess in 2030, the World Cup is going to have hydration breaks. Just like I accept that we're going to get closer towards real timing on the field with the clock, which angers soccer people, but I think we're going to get closer to that. You may get the end of a half or match where the official allows a play to continue. But for example, the hydration break, it's stupid that the clock runs. When the ref blows the whistle, stop the clock. And they're going to fine tune that. And in 10 years, the clock in the stadium may be more like a real clock. We evolve. Every sport evolves. And, you know, it just like substitutes. Ryan's right. We used to have 3. Now we have 5. The sport evolves. Classic history lesson coming up next.
All right, boys and girls, take a seat and listen up as we take a trip down memory lane with Marc Daniels in this week's history lesson.
Chris, it won't be shocking today if something like this happened because of just what now has become anything for entertainment. But do you remember when Conor McGregor fought Floyd Mayweather?
Yes.
It was a big deal.
Mhm.
And it was different because you were taking McGregor during a prime of his UFC or MMA career,
Mhm.
and Mayweather still had boxing left in him, and it was a big draw.
Right.
And even though Floyd Mayweather won because he won the way he typically wins, he'll just dominate technically, didn't have to knock you out. But I think Conor McGregor gained respect by people by going as long as he did.
Yeah.
Well, today marks the 50th anniversary of one of the more entertaining, unique, controversial, criticized event that combined boxing with something else that if you look at today, like, yeah, okay, but back then, back in April of 1975, Muhammad Ali was introduced to Ichiro Hata. He was the president of the Japanese Amateur Wrestling Association, and Ali was joking, is there anybody that you think could possibly beat me? Well, Ali was being Ali. He was being the great promoter and joking around. Until word got back in Japan and made headlines. Would somebody step on it and accept the challenge of fighting Muhammad Ali? Is it possible that someone would do that? Yes, they would. Antonio Inoki would take on that challenge. The famed Japanese wrestler with the backing of an entire nation, including financial backers willing to pay him then $6 million in the mid-'70s. In March of 1976, the contract is signed. It was a press tour to send both around the world to promote their fight. And from March of 1976 until June, those two were great at entertaining the public. Muhammad Ali, no better, with legendary manager Classy Freddie Blassie on Ali's side, as well as Angelo Dundee, his famed trainer. The marketing of the event with Inoki was on.
No, he thinks. You shall destroy him. Shall destroy him. I predict that I will win. I predict that it shall all be over in round 8.
予想は round 8。
Round
8です。8ラウンドです。
Round 8.
Ali was the master when it came to selling anything, but this event took on a life of its own. It wasn't just this exhibition. It was also not sure what it actually was. To prepare for a fight against a wrestler, Ali actually called upon those in the wrestling. The Sheik, not the Iron Sheik, the Sheik, different wrestler, helped train Ali and set up other sparring sessions. And Ali understood that, hey, this was going to be a big event. How to make it even bigger? Chris, at a time then for the fight that was going to take place in Japan, closed circuit was a big way for people to watch boxing matches. You'd go to a theater, pay money, and watch. Well, in New York at Shea Stadium, the showdown at Shea was going to show the fight, but also featured other events on the card, including Andre the Giant versus boxer Chuck Webner. People paid significant. A crowd of about 33,000 came to Shea Stadium because they were going to have their card and then be able to watch the fight. By the way, some of the individuals that closed that marketing deal for that, Vince McMahon Sr., the dad, was among those that was part of the marketing in the United States. The key, though, were the rules. Boxing, Ali was limited to do certain things, and Inoki was also limited to do certain things. But those covering didn't know, was this supposed to be a predetermined outcome? Were they actually going to fight? And one of the great mysteries to this day is, depending who you asked, either Ali assumed, we're going to do our thing, and then we're going to make sure that I win. And yet there are those that'll tell you there was no script. No one was told how it had to go. 15 rounds was the plan. While Inoki was limited to some moves that he couldn't do, so was Ali, but he had more ability to be natural as a boxer. The hype was as you expected. And then came the night of the fight 50 years ago. As you can imagine, the entrances were elaborate, to say the least, each having famous people by their side. Many Japanese sports legends were with Inoki as he came out. Muhammad Ali came out with his contingent, which featured a number of his boxing partners and even some wrestlers like Classy Freddie Blassie, the manager. The match would start in, again, 15 rounds. Here's part of that action. Before nearly 15,000 at the arena in Japan, Inoki came out and Chris, he goes to the floor. His strategy was to try to use his legs to kick Ali in his calf, his hip, anything on his side to wear down the fighter. And Ali was somewhat stunned that this was the strategy. His vision was, I thought he would come at me like a wrestler and we'd be able to somewhat box and punch, but Inoki dropped, and for the 15 rounds, he spent most of it on the canvas, which somewhat shocked Japanese fans who thought he'd go toe-to-toe with the heavyweight champion. But Inoki stayed to his plan. In fact, Ali's leg once was cut because, as Angelo Dundee said, hey, he's got something on his boot that is cutting Ali. And they made them fix the boot. The crowd began to tire a bit as round 10 and 11 because of the strategy in place. But Inoki never changed his strategy. And even though the two at times did get near each other to throw a punch or two, and Ali did slip and fall, although the Inoki people would say he did drop him, the fight did go the full 15 rounds. And then wondering if there was a script before as to who the outcome was, maybe there was, maybe there wasn't. After the fight, the judges ruled on the fight. A professional wrestler from Japan was one of the judges. He ruled it 74-72 for Ali. The boxing judge from Japan ruled it 72-68 for Inoki, which came down to the boxing ref from America that was going to score it. 71-71. A draw. Both fighters could save face. They didn't lose to the other. It gave Ali the right to say that he should have won. He was robbed over the hometown crowd. Inoki was able to settle that he went toe-to-toe with the heavyweight champion. And then the boos rained down at the arena in Japan. Garbage began to be thrown into the ring, and the crowd somewhat was getting angry, as were closed-circuit theaters across the United States. People felt like they'd been ripped off. A draw? What do you mean a draw? Inoki felt, as he said, such shame, he would disappear for a while because he felt as if he let his country down. Ali was Ali. He kept with the role of, I should have won, I was robbed by the hometown crowd. The two would become really good friends over the years afterwards. Ali would fly later to the final retirement match for Inoki. And again, for years, they stayed in contact and made several appearances. Ali went on to fight for several more years, as did Inoki wrestle for several more years. But 50 years ago today, the heavyweight champion of the world stepped into the ring against what many people thought may have been one of the best professional wrestlers for 15 rounds in Japan, did some type of exhibition. The crowd didn't like the ending, and whether it was staged or not depends on who you ask and what you want to read. Some said it's exactly how the script was. Others would tell you neither knew what was going to happen. Maybe the judges were in on something, and by the way, it was announced as it was, the draw being the last card that they read. 50 years ago today, the famous fight of Muhammad Ali in Japan that stunned many people against Antonio Inoki. June 26, 1976, the War of the Worlds. That's today's history lesson. We're back to wrap it up next.
time for the latest news, gossip, trends, and off-the-wall stories. Trends.
That's the craziest thing I ever heard.
4 is the number that A.J. DeBonce is going to wear in Washington. Trae Young will not give up number 3, so DeBonce will wear number 4.
Rock number 1, baby.
If you wear number 4.
All right.
You got it?
Yeah. Are numbers a big deal to you? Like if you had the same number playing high school, college?
I did.
If you made it pro, would you do what you can to keep your number?
Never got near it, so I wore 2 all the time. Long before Jeter did. Yeah, wore 2. I'm sure I think my first year of high school baseball, I actually think somebody else had it. And I didn't like pay, but somehow ended up with it. I don't know if the guy switched numbers or if something happened, but I was able to wear it all the time. Then in basketball, no problem wearing it. The one awful year of football, I wore it too. Yeah,
like I don't think I could ever pay an amount of money.
I wouldn't do
keep
that.
a number.
Yeah, I don't do that. Yeah. That's it for us today. Miss any of the program? Go where you get your favorite podcast. Type in the Beat of Sports on demand to get access to the entire show. Subscribe, get it downloaded, listen when it's convenient for you. You can go back and watch the video portion of this program. Go to our YouTube page, 96 of the Game Orlando. Click on the logo on the live button. You can access the stream anytime. Thanks, Chris.
Thank you, Mark.
Chris produced. See you tomorrow for the Friday edition of the Beat of Sports.